Português. Sensei Garcia is grabbing my thumb to the midside, isolating the thumb and the back knuckle. Notice where his index finger is, isolating that thumb. His thumb is in the middle, knuckle is in the inside, locking it out. It's very difficult for me to try to make a fist or escape. His small finger cuts back right at the joint of my wrist, feeding back, feeding the palm of my hand back into my bicep. Not outside, where it rolls out, or inside, straight back. Fingers pointed straight up. You want them pointing straight up. Other hand comes straight across, locking in. Notice how he applied the pressure. The lock is already set in. Other hand comes on top and flies down. Once more. Notice the way his arms extend straight out at the elbow, locking in. He locks in that wrist lock. I cannot go anywhere. Feeds it straight down, back into my center. It's a full rotation of the Português. Back in. Notice this hand does not come across my finger, across the thumb, but plays right on top of his own thumb, onto the back of my hand, straight back in. Moving on to knee cue. Is a cross arm grab. This left arm will be grabbing my left arm, isolating right behind my index knuckle, locking in. His forefingers will go behind my small finger, behind the small finger knuckle, behind the pinky knuckle, locking in, squeezing the hand in, isolating all the bones inside my hand. Sensei Garcia extends his arm, gets a full range of motion, and starts turning my wrist straight up and down. Coming in, isolated, and start to lock the joint. As soon as he brings it down into him, notice how he flicked the small finger back into my direction. You want to fan the hand back into your assailant or into your opponent. Bring it straight down, locking the index finger right onto his chest, so the person doesn't get to pull away or come to the side. Anytime the assailant tries to move against this wrist lock, it applies pressure right to the center of the forearm and across. The muscle mass is coming across the bone, isolated. He comes across with his other hand, isolates the wrist, feeds my hand back into me, pushes down with the opposite hand onto the wrist, bowing forward. Time. Full rotation. Notice it gets a full range, straight over, and left. The full range motion is starting to turn the hand so the bones and the carpals and metacarpals start locking into each other. As soon as he brings it down, you need to try it at home. Try to bring your hand down with your thumb. You notice what happens with your hand. It automatically starts feeding back up. That wrist will automatically lock. Placing it straight down, just bow from right there. You can bow and do knee kick right there. Off of the grab, instead of trying to get the full range of motion, now it's just a reach over. Blast. Lock in. Grabs the knee kick. Time. Let's do this way. Always return the hand to the center of the body. Even on the Português, straight back into the person's center. Jamming straight back. EQ, straight back into the center. You want to match it up straight in straight center line. We are a red line system with Jiu-Jitsu, jamming straight in. Forming San cue, grabbing with the same hand. 4 fingers to the outside, isolating the small finger right across it. Whole joint area. Clamping in. Thumb straight across the thumb joint, right where it meets onto the wrist. Locks in. Lifting up. His right foot steps across. Other foot moves straight back. Notice his hand are right into his center line. Right into his center line. Drops the hand and rotates it in. His other hand is isolating the wrist. Drops it back down like a handshake. 4 fingers are to the inside, right into his center line. He will torque across. He will torque across with both hands, turning into me, into the assailant. One more time. He uses his shoulder for his power. Notice he keeps it at center line. His elbow straight in, hip to hip. You do not want side cue out here. The person can rotate back into it. As soon as the person tries to step out, notice our feet straight across. Perform side cue. That elbow comes up to stop the person from rolling back in. Still able to get that wrist lock. The person slips out and comes in with a punch. He steps up with the outside foot and brings it back into my center. Locking that joint. You are turning the forearm and the whole wrist straight over back into the person, isolating it. The elbow keeps straight up and down. I don't want to see the elbow flat. Bring it straight back up. This elbow is navigated and at distance. It controls the person. It's a pipe. If I try to squeeze him, come back out. Get even elbow with it. Or if I try to straighten that one out, notice how I brought his elbow back into mine. Bring it back up. Go cue. Coming cross on, bending the wrist, right at the joint. He clamps on, right at the joint. 4 fingers attacking the thumb. Thumb straight across onto the other side. Bending it. Coming across. Cross the arm. Beating his elbow into my elbow. Applying pressure. Feeding my palm back to my elbow. Clamping in. One time. Straight one more time. Moving up, feeding in, clamping. He locks my arm into his own arm by applying pressure back into his own body so the person cannot slip out. Right?